What's going on, people? Welcome back to another live stream. So this is obviously something different we're going to do. Thought it'd be a good idea so we can get people on, obviously get people in the comments as well, leaving their thoughts on all the topics. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe. Only 35 away from 1,000 subscribers, which is mental. But yeah, we got some guests on tonight. We got Josh from Pundit, Ollie, and BRFC Fan TV. Welcome, lads.
Evening. I'm just trying to finish
basically,
up the work, so
got to start off with Oxford. What's your thoughts on Oxford? We'll start with Josh.
I think it's a much improved performance. That's not something to really go by, but again, lack of creativity cost us, and ultimately it cost Tisdale's job. But there's certainly, aspects of the game which you can draw positives on. But there's a long stretch from what the fans have expected all season, and something had to change really to
definitely.
Swindon, whereas is a must win.
Yeah, definitely. What about you, Ollie? What's your thoughts on the game?
it's difficult because there's just no one to put the ball in the back of the net. As much as we try, we just need to put it in that back of the net. It's like when McCormick skied it over the bar. He ran into Nicholson. The amount of people that were just in the way of each other, just giving that goal opportunity, there's no communication at all. So it was a frustrating one, but you can see a lot of positive points in it.
Yeah. What about you, Chiz? What's your thoughts on the game?
Well, I agree with both Josh and Ollie. About lack of creativity and stuff. Also, the constant long balls from the centre backs. Just hoofing it for the best. Hoping for the best, which just didn't work at all. And ultimately, Tisdale paid the price of his players just being clueless, really. So it reminded me of Ghana football, to be fair, as well.
Yeah. I'll quickly just go over it. I like all of you have said. I thought especially first half. I thought after the poor start, which we always seem to have pretty much most games where we have a really slow start. I thought we done really well, but like you said, there was just no end product. I thought we played quite well in the first half. Baldwin switching some quality balls over to Williams, getting him down the side. Just frustrating in the end. And then the 2 goals we conceded just sums up our season, really. Next we're going to go with Tisdale sacking. Start off with you, Josh. What's your thoughts?
I think the writing was on the wall as soon as it didn't we sort of had a spell with the Wimbledon game where it looked encouraging, and it looked like things, offensively we looked good, and then he started to become a lot more cautious with his lineups, and we were playing the 5 at the back, and from there it didn't really sort of take off, and every week we weren't getting results. The further pressure was mounted on his head, and it's hard for us as fans watching it on TV when we can't influence it. But the writing was on the wall. I think it was the right decision. I know he hadn't been in it 3 months, 19 games, but when you're staring down the barrel of relegation like we are with 20 games to go, I think it was a risk worth taking, and getting someone in that could sort of get an immediate reaction now to get us over the line with these 20 games to go.
Yeah, completely agree. And like you said on the fans, I think with both managers, even though the style of football wasn't really there, I thought fans had just missed so much. Like, I think every team would be doing a lot better with fans. But Ollie, what's your thoughts on was it the right time to sack Tisdale?
I was quite surprised when I seen your video come up on my notifications. Yes, it probably was the right time. But then again, it's how much time do you give players and managers. So I think it was the right time to go, just to try, and obviously the closer we got to the drop zone, it's inedible to sort of get back up the table to where we should be and where they want us as a club.
Yeah, definitely, completely agree. What's your thoughts, Chiz? Was it the right time to sack him?
For me, I think the guy's only been given 19 games. and he's only been able to bring in 2 players. I think George Williams and Joe Day were the only players he brought in, if I'm right. 19 games, at the end of the day, that is just not enough for a manager, I think, to, and we did get a win against Plymouth 3-0. I know we didn't win enough games, but at the same time, what's he supposed to do? He's got players from Garner's era, basically, players that really aren't trying. But I do agree, like someone said in the comments, he shouldn't have been appointed in the first place. So, yeah.
I completely agree. Just if people are wondering, he's still Ollie's still at work, so that's why people say he fishes in Tesco. I think my thoughts on it, like you said, I think you can look at it both ways. For one, he only brought in 2 players. He had to work with what Garner's been allowed to bring in, and I think it's sort of in the end I think it is, because he was just. Even the lineup against Oxford, like, why would you drop Hanlon? I know Hanlon's not been scoring, and you drop your best player Nicholson on the bench. I don't know. I think he was trying to try and even prove to him that he hasn't got the players. But then why? Surely, if he had, sense, he would have bought some players in January. I've got another question for you guys. What's your thoughts on the board? We'll start with Josh over the whole situation and also the Garner era.
I think, the knock-on effect from the summer recruitment has probably had the biggest impact on Tisdale's reign, because, the recruitment in which Garner got heavily trusted in isn't working out at the moment. So, Tisdale had to work with a squad of players that he didn't assemble himself, and it's had a knock-on effect because he can't seem to get results from them. But, it looks like they invested a lot of trust in Garner. Witherington was saying today in his interviews with Bristol Live that 80% of all of what the managers actually wanted, they got. It's one of those, like, a lot of people are, out in Witherington and on the board and stuff. There's responsibility and questions need to be answered from the board, from the management. There's a lot of people at fault here, and the players are one of them. But in terms of the board, they heavily back Garner. And in the summer, we were all saying, a ninth promotion and what have you. Everyone was happy with the faces and the personnel they brought in. It's just not worked out that well. I personally think it was an imbalanced squad, and we needed a bit more experience in there from the get-go. But when your head of recruitment's being told to recruit a certain way, I'm not sure how they can take full responsibility for how we're playing on the pitch. That ultimately falls down to the management, and but then the board have stepped in when we were going one way, so you got to give them a little bit of credit. It's one of those where you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. If they didn't take the decision now to get rid of Tisdale and we go down, then they would have been slated for not doing it. And now we've got this little bit of, a big chance. There's 20 games to go to get it right.
Yeah, I completely agree. Make sure to drop a like, everyone, if you're enjoying this sort of content. We'll be doing it every Friday, getting on different guests as well, because I had a lot of people messaging me saying that they want to come on, and obviously I can only get a certain amount on, but I will get I'll get to everyone. Don't forget to subscribe as well if you're not. Would really help the channel. Ollie, what's your thoughts on the whole board situation?
It's difficult because where do you put blame? Do you put blame in the managers? Do you put blame in the board? Obviously, a lot of heavy recruitment, a lot of ins and outs in the summer, with obviously Garner wanting to play this fast-paced football, which, in all fairness, at the start of the season, you did. You look at when we played Lincoln away and went down 1-0, and then we beat them 2-1.
Yeah.
It's the mentality, obviously, the players is there, and obviously under Garner, but with Tisdale coming in with Garner's players, and obviously how little transfer window there was and the ingoings and outgoings with Tisdale, it's like, well, is it really that bad? Are the board and obviously Tommy Wrigglington in that bad in the recruitment side. So obviously with the players, so I think it's a question we're always going to be answering ourselves: is are the board at fault? Is it the manager? Was it Garner's way of play? Was it Tisdale's? So I think it's just a case of trying to re-find our feet, not to try and pass the blame as much, and then just try and get behind everyone and make the move forward and make it all positive for the next 20 games.
Yeah, definitely agree. It's like you said. Who do you put the blame on the most? Because there's so many people at fault. Obviously, recruitment. Like even what Tommy Widgington come out. I don't know if any of you've seen it. That the video on the preview for the game. He was saying about this. He was asking him about experience and asking him about the Accrington and when we played Accrington, the experience, and Rovers had double the experience, but literally out of that the experience, it was only 3 players. It was only Joe Day, George Williams, and there was another player as well up to Accrington's 450. Like I'm not sure. Like you said, there's so many people to blame. Get your thoughts in the comments as well, people. I want to interact with all of you. Get in the comments. Cheers. What's your thoughts on the board situation?
Well, I mean, yeah, the blame has got to be spread, really. But
wait there. What's this? Barton's apparently appointed. Well, just imagine if it got announced tonight. But yeah, carry on.
Well, I think the blame's got to be spread. But at the same time, what are they doing? Appointing a manager that's basically only been successful in League Two, being Tisdale.
Yeah.
And then you've got Garner before, who was in the Indian Premier League or something like that, and just a successor to Jose and Pulis or whatever it was. So there's no real kind of experience in League One from both those managers. So you're asking for trouble in the first place with that. Like you say, with experience, you've got Eva as experience, but I don't need to say anything about that this season because we all know how shocking he's been at the back, really. So yeah, I mean the blame has got to be spread. But if you look at Man United, I know they're a bigger club and all of that, but they went after Ed Woodward. And I think isn't he the similar position as Tommy Witherington, head of recruitment?
Yeah,
Woodward, and they went after him.
Crazy.
So I don't know if to blame him more than the manager and stuff. But I still feel sorry for Tisdale because I just don't think he had much to work with.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy. I mean with me, I like you said, a lot of you have said like who do you blame with the managers and the board, but the board, when you go through so many managers, and especially this season and last season when we brought in Garner, I even including myself, I think a lot of Rovers fans would have never heard who he is, and when you haven't even managed properly, when you've been assistant in the Premier League and the Indian Premier League, it's just crazy how they think of these things. And even Tisdale, his League One record is awful. He got sacked at MK Dons because he went without like a 10 games without a win, and now Rovers 10 games without a win. So yeah, that basically sums it up. So the next, we're going to talk about who do we all want in. Obviously, Barton's heavily linked at the moment, but Josh, who was your first thoughts about who should be appointed as new Rovers manager?
Well, if history speaks for itself, then normally an internal appointment tends to do better with Rovers. But we're looking for an immediate reaction now. We need someone to come in and galvanise those players to get immediate results. Otherwise, we're going to be drifting further down the table and into the drop zone. In terms of immediate results and get a reaction, like the likes of Mansell and that, I think it might be a step too soon. Not just because of his, he's only managing the youth, but the fact that I wouldn't want to throw him to the dogs too early and tarnish his legacy as such. Same with Byron Anthony. I think it's probably a step too soon, and there's a massive task right now to get them to get results. The likes of Barton, he plays a really good style of football. He got Fleetwood into the playoffs. They got probably a bit more better resources than us, despite the fact we're probably a bigger club. But I think he's someone who could probably implement a style of playing which the Gas are looking to play. But it all comes down to the board and who fits this project that they've been talking about since the summer, and certain faces fit. I mean, the likes of Nigel Adkins, if you look at the two teams he got out of League One, Scunthorpe and Southampton, two completely different teams, completely different budgets, but it just shows how he can get a reaction out of different people, and he's a man manager. So, I wouldn't be against Spartan as such. Probably he's a bit of a ticking time bomb, and he's probably a court case away from prison. But in terms of playing style, I wouldn't be against it. I wouldn't want the return of Ian Holloway or someone like that. I know he's ruled himself out, but you're just going back and you're asking for trouble, and it's just a frosty relationship from day one. So if someone could just come in with an immediate impact and just get the boys going, I don't really care who it is. If it's internal, we haven't got that added impact of the fans being there to get them over the line each week. So it's just going to be tough all round. So Barton, why not?
Yeah, agree. I think it's going to be, like you said, it's going to be tough, and obviously now this is the right appointment. If we get this wrong, we're down. This one, 3 managers in a season is just unbelievable. Just asking for trouble. But Ollie, what's your thoughts? Who would you want as manager?
It makes you wonder, isn't it? Every time a manager gets sacked or we sack a manager, it's like, right, okay, we've got rid of this one, but who are we going to get next? Obviously, Holloway's already gone and said he doesn't want a job, so you can basically rule him out. Barton's obviously favourites, but then what you've also got to think about is, do we actually need a manager to try and get through these 20 games, or can we try and keep it in-house with, obviously, like you say, Mansell, Ridlington, and sort of all those lot? But obviously in the long term of things, you've got to think, well, we do. So you've got, obviously, like you say, you've got to look at Barton as a manager with how they work with Fleetwood, and try and progress that into how we play and how we want to play. So he probably might be the right contender, but it's we could be saying Barton, we want Barton, but then the club and the board could be like, well, actually, we want someone else, be whoever that may be. So I think as fans, as much as we want someone, we've got to also go from what the board want at the same time. So I would probably say Barton, really, but we could be saying something and the board could do something else.
Yeah, I think even everyone in the comments, I mean, it's sort of weird. I've seen like a different thing, like the day he got sacked, I've seen a lot of people saying like Holloway and Atkins, but they're not. Over on Twitter, it seems to be everyone seems to be Barton. Like every tweet I've seen is Joey Barton, and now on Facebook in the last few days, obviously the betting, Barton is, I think he's 1-8 now, or he was earlier on. So yeah, I think, and even tonight in the comments, appreciate all of you tuning in. A lot of people there: Harry, Filton Gas, Ryan Hodge. A lot of people have said Barton, but cheers. What's your thoughts? Who would you want in as manager?
Well, to be fair, I think that it is madness that they haven't kind of had someone lined up, which does suggest to me that they aren't going to appoint anyone. Because I think if they did, they would have appointed someone straight away. They would have had someone lined up, or maybe it's just taking a long time to process it and all of that. But I do feel for the players, because I know they haven't been great in all of that, but their heads must be all over the place. You've had Garner at the start of the season. You've had all this talk about promotion. Then you've had Garner sacked. You've had Tisdale come in. Their heads must be all over the place. So yeah, I do. Their heads must be all over the place, and I think it is a bold decision going into tomorrow's game without a manager. It can either go two ways. They're either going to be really happy that he's gone, and you bounce, in energy and confidence, or it's gonna, they're going to be all over the place, and Swindon might batter us. I don't know. I mean, if that happens, then I think we're as good as down. But yeah, I think our heads will just go if that happens.
Yeah, I mean, even me, when I done my video the other day, I said about the easy option, which would be Mansell or Anthony. But like Josh said, I think it's just throwing them into the dogs because they're such legends of, especially Mansell. Anthony was a great player as well, but just throwing them in doesn't seem right. And now I think Barton's the right option as well. I think, like Josh said, the football he plays. I mean, to be fair, it's obviously a bit different because he was well backed at Fleetwood. They had quite a lot of quality players to work with. But obviously, if Barton did join, you got to look at different points. He's a man that you'd would light up around literally the UK. It'd be all over Sky, like Joey Barton's gone to Bristol Rovers, and people would be like, wow. And I think it would intrigue players to join. Plus the new thing, obviously the fact of the training ground, which is definitely a good thing, because obviously the last time before Tisdale and Garner come in, there was no movement on the training ground update, but now you got that. And like you said, I think he's one of them players. I think Max on Gascast put it exact to the point. Barton would be a player that you'd run for a brick wall for, whereas Tisdale, you think, is he really going to get you? I know motivation and all that, players should be motivated anyway, whether it's Sunday league, and then especially as you're a professional footballer on good money. But yeah, not Tisdale, Barton for me definitely. Yeah, next we're gonna talk about the news come out today of at Swindon. 3 players have been dropped from the squad, and they're not named, but 3 players have been dropped for turning up late to like a meeting. So I wonder what impact, and what's your thoughts on the game tomorrow? We'll start with Josh. Don't give me your prediction, just give me your thoughts on the game.
I don't think we can afford to lose it. And I know I'm saying that with 20 games to go, but the fact that they've played 2 games more than us, and they sit just behind us, and we're literally just sitting 1 goal above the relegation zone, is a chance for us to get some daylight between us and them. And Swindon, they beat us early on in the season. We played terribly, but it's a must-win game, and I think the players are going to feel that pressure now with Witherington. I think he'll probably simplify it like he did in the Chelsea under-23 game. If we can just simplify it and go back to basics, I don't see how we're not going to create against a side like Swindon. But we were going into the Swindon game away from home, and we had the same expectation. Look how that planned out.
Yeah, that was because obviously that was Tisdale's first game as well. So it's pretty funny that his first game in charge was against Swindon, and just before his last game got sacked. It's now Swindon again, and yeah, like you said, that game was awful. I think we had 1 shot on target come in I think it was the 89th minute. I think it was and then Nicholson missed a sitter of a header. I remember he was like 2-3 yards out, and he put it against the post. But yeah,
it's not a strong point, is it? He did that against Oxford on Tuesday. It's not a strong point heading, is it?
Nah, definitely not. Ollie, what's your overall thoughts on the game?
It'll be interesting to see what the lineup is. I think it will all be down to the lineup that goes out. I think if we've got a fairly strong lineup, and you look at their lineup and it's a little bit weak, should we say, it should realistically be ours for the taking. So I think if we start strong and start on the front foot, like we have done against Hull at home when Daly got that early goal, I think if we start something like that, it should be our game to win. But if you've got players that are, for example, missing, like, for example, Nicholson, Oztuma, Hanlon, let's just use those as an example, you've got to think to yourself, hang on a minute, how safe or how unsafe are we being? So I think we need to take the game to them, and like Josh has said, it is a must-win game to try and boost the morale throughout the club. Us as fans, make us happier at the same time, and then just try and just climb out that relegation battle at the moment with the bottom 5 or bottom 4 that there is.
Yeah, definitely. I think we need to go on some sort of run. And yeah, like you said, tomorrow's a must. I'll just read through some comments. You got Ryan Hodge obviously said, to be fair, Widrington has 100% win record after his one win against Chelsea. BRFC Tom, thanks for tuning in, Barton in. Harry Jenkins says keep Byron on commentary. He does a good job. Yeah, you're right. He does a quality job. He shouldn't be getting linked. I don't think, like Josh. I keep saying, about you don't want to give, like, Mansell. Like, everyone loves Mansell, what he done for Rovers in the few years he was with us. Giving it to him, and it's just crazy. Jerry Gass says not sure about Barton, but let's go for it. Robert Brailsford says, do I spend a tenner to watch tomorrow's game or invest it in Thatchers? Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Cheers. What's your overall thoughts on the game? Without giving me a prediction, we'll get to that later.
Well, yeah, like both of you have said, we can't lose. That's definite. But you look at Swindon. You said 3 of their players have been dropped for tomorrow, right? Wasn't our players? Yeah. So that gives us an advantage. Tyler Smith, obviously loaned back. He's not there anymore, so that's a massive advantage as well. Yeah, if we can score early, I think that will help. But yeah, I mean, to be fair, if we lose, you've seen how toxic the Twitter has been recently, social media after every loss. And I think if we go and lose to Swindon, especially as it being kind of a bit of a derby with all that's going on, I think, the Twitter will turn so toxic. It will just turn really toxic. And I think that it'll be a real big mountain to climb to keep us up if we lose.
Yeah. Like you've all said, and like obviously every Rovers fans' thoughts, it's a must win. They got to go into it. Start like we mean to. Stay up. Fight for the badge. Put every effort in. That's all fans want to see. Effort. Because if you show effort and just defend as a team, because I think that's a big issue with our obviously season. Obviously the amount of goals has not been good. Obviously down to recruitment. Obviously not replacing JCH properly. Obviously I think he got 27 goals in 18 months that he was here. So it's asking for trouble, isn't it? If you don't replace that, then you're gonna struggle. And like our defense has been, a lot of still I've seen a lot of people on every different social, whether it's the appreciation page or Twitter, Instagram, have said about there's been a lot of blame on defenders, making mistakes, or even if it's not mistakes, just conceding goals. But a lot of the stick has got to go. Obviously, I wouldn't put 100% blame on the strikers, because we've been relying on Nicholson a lot this season. Obviously he's been unbelievable. Like, people were thinking, like, who is this guy? Just some random Scottish guy that's signed from the MLS, but he's been quality. But he's not even a striker. Some people don't even remember that he's not even a striker. He was brought in as a winger, and like you said, the recruitment side of things is just, I don't even know what to say. I don't know what was going through their heads when they didn't replace Clark Harris. But next, we'll go to lineups. So I'm going to ask all of you on the spot, what would be your team for tomorrow? Whether, obviously, injuries, I'm not sure who's back, because even the thoughts on injuries, like other clubs, people, you get injury updates, but Rovers now you hardly get an update, so I don't have a clue. But welcome Josh Seaborn as well. Cheers for tuning in. Appreciate that. He says, what's your thoughts on Joe Day? We'll go with that first. Start with you, Josh.
It's a hard one, really. There's a massive expectation to sort of fill the void Anstey left, but talk about destroy someone's confidence to bits, when I know Geordie's not particularly had the best sort of start to his career, but Joe Day came in. He had a pretty good record with Newport. Went to Cardiff, didn't really work out. Wants to play games. looked a reasonable decision to get him down at Rovers and get him game time. Some of his shot stopping is brilliant, but there's other times where he sort of lapses in concentration at the near post, and we've let in silly goals. I'm not sure, if it's ultimately down to him, but he's letting a lot of soft goals of late, and that's just because of the confidence of the team probably didn't help the situation. But I mean, he is an improvement on Geordie, but that's mainly due to age. I think Geordie will get better. It's probably a risk to throw him in now, and he doesn't look too confident, but he did all right. I mean, he kept a clean sheet and he got in team of the week, and then the next week he's dropped for a loan player. So we needed that cover in Joe Day. But to get a reaction out of him, he could have been dropped after the 6-1 or after the few mistakes he's made, just to get a bit more competitive.
Yeah, completely agree. Josh says in there as well, gaining so much confidence until Joe Day come in, Geordie was. And I agree. I think he was getting better. I remember the Plymouth game at home, he was absolute class. I don't think other games you've seen him in, you've seen him with, low confidence coming out and dropping the ball or not making a save. But it was true. He was playing quite well. And then obviously Joe Day come in. Like you said, he's made some good saves, but on the other hand, some of the goals have been really poor. Ollie, what's your thoughts on the situation with Joe Day?
I think what you've basically gone and said is what I was thinking. Obviously, Geordie was gaining confidence. Obviously, like Josh said, he got in team of the week and then dropped. But I think he's got too many boots to fill, if that makes sense. With obviously Anstey being top dog and probably our best keeper that we've probably had for a very long time. So there are big shoes to fill. But the thing is, I don't think he's given time. And like you say, with Joe Day coming in from loan, more experience, which is all right, we probably did need, but you need to rely on your second keeper rather than just getting someone else in to fill the boots. So I personally think he should have been given. All right, we all know Geordie lets in soft goals, and we've seen it in the past and everything. But he needs the game time and the confidence to stop those soft goals coming in. Like, he was on fire at Plymouth at home.
Yeah.
And he needed to probably have been given, I don't know, 3, maybe 4 games after that performance to see how well he did. And then obviously, all right, get a lone goalkeeper in anyway. And then obviously, depending on how it all went, get that lone player playing. And then obviously drop Geordie. But if he was going to improve and make us better and maybe get some results, then why not keep him in between the sticks? Because he could and would do something better than probably a lone goalkeeper. But obviously Joe Day stepped in and taken that from him. So it's a difficult one.
Yeah, completely agree with all your points. Harry Jenkins is saying get COD vlogs in if we get Barton in. Yeah, that's a good shout actually. He's a good lad. Go and subscribe to him if you haven't. Fleetwood fan. On the road to 6,000 subscribers. Cheers. What's your thoughts on the keeper situation and Joe Day?
Well, there's not much more for me to add. To be honest, I agree with what everyone said. Yeah, I think Geordie just needed to be given more time. He's getting confidence, starting to play well, which obviously is, you're going to start playing better when you've been, consistently played. So yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah. I think that's the worst thing we could have done with Geordie, because I remember that Plymouth game. I don't know how we didn't concede, but like we all said, he was absolute class. Like the best performance he's had by a mile. I think he made 3 or 4 quality saves. Even that game, you look at that win. Obviously, I think Tisdale had 5 wins overall. But that game, you look at that game could have been 3-all, 4-all. But even that, we go on. Another question is, so now we got onto lineups for Saturday. Josh, what would your lineup you'd hopefully be to see start against Swindon?
I'd probably go with a flat back four. At home, five at the back are just inviting pressure on yourself. I've seen Rovers over the past few years, let alone in the last 6 months, play five and then just get doubled up on when all all the opposition manager needs to do is do their homework and they just get doubled up on the wings. So I go four at the back. I'd probably start Day in goal now just to build some momentum. Does anyone know where Josh Hare is? Because I thought he was doing okay until he sort of just disappeared from the team. But I would stick with George Williams at right back. Leahy, he's another Marmite character, divides a lot of opinion. Really good going forward, but at times he's so casual, and a lot of times we lose the ball up the field is because, again, we're casual in possession. We've got to find this balance where, when we're suffering without the ball, it's not in key areas, and we've, all over the pitch, and that's the constant theme through this season is we lose the ball in key areas, we bypass the midfield, and our back four is completely isolated. So yeah, Leahy's probably in there just because, again, momentum. I go Baldwin and Kilgore.
Yeah, same
I know Eamon had a better game, but I think Baldwin's actually showing to me that he's probably one of our best central defenders, and when he plays, we look a little bit more solid. Again, it's that old diagonal just frustrates the hell out of you. We were whinging about Garner getting the ball down and playing, and now we've gone from this get the ball to a centre half and just whack it diagonally to a 4 foot nothing midfielder. Yeah. But yeah, I'd probably go those three. I'd either go five in midfield and then hand them up front with Oztumer and Westbrook maybe, and just have a holding midfielder in there. I've not been too impressed with Grant, if I'm honest with you, but at the moment he's probably our only option, as in our defensive midfield. Westbrook starts for me. It looks like he's a bit of a scapegoat under Tisdale with that 6-1. And he's got to do more to impress us. I think he's come with a quite a big label on his head, and we haven't seen the best of him yet. Whether or not a new manager or Widrington can sort of utilise his creativity, probably benefit the side a bit more. But I play with width, definitely play with width. Rodman and Nicholson either side, handing up front. If that's a 4-3-3 or a 4-5-1, 5 defending, then 3 going forward. That's what I want to see, a bit more offensive lineup at home.
Yeah, completely agree. It should be interesting because I'm pretty sure Swindon do a 4-4-2. That was their last lineup anyway, with Pittman and the new signing they've just got on loan from Swansea. I can't remember his name, but they've just signed him on loan from Swansea. Ollie, what would be your favourite team to play on the weekend?
Obviously, Day in goal. I would probably go 3 at the back, maybe. I'd probably go Baldwin in the middle, Kilgore right, and Leahy left. The reason, because I don't know whether you've noticed, but Kilgore and Baldwin's link up between each other was a lot similar to Craig and Kilgore last season, or Kilgore and Davis. So I think if you watch them, they are very good together, and they work in sort of symmetry with each other. So I think those two are sort of key at the back. George Williams, he's not obviously a midfielder, so you sort of rule him out there. But I'd go Oztumer, Westbrook in the middle, Nicholson either on the wing. I'd probably start Nicholson on the right wing because he does like to cut in a lot from that right hand side. And then who would I play left wing? Maybe Koike. I know he hasn't started for a while and everything, but I can't think of any sort of left footers that we've actually got in the midfield which would benefit us. And then I'd probably go Daly and Hanlon up top. Go 3-5-2 because I don't believe Hanlon can play on his own up top. He needs someone to spin off of him. because he is self-isolated up there, and he'll just drag all the defenders to him, and then there'll be no one running off of him. Well, I think Daly does that, and he does it well with Hanlon. So I think
Yeah,
that would be my lineup.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think even when he was at Gillingham, he wasn't an out and out number 9. He was like a left forward, left winger, and he always, if he did play out front, he always had a tall striker, which Gillingham will always have. But MDR Vlogs, welcome to the chat, mate. He says opinions on Lee Manson. Well, we gone through it. Basically, we don't really want him to be as manager because if stuff goes wrong, he doesn't have to. I think it's all right working with the academy, but it's nothing near the first team work, and it's a big job. The Rovers' job is a big job because there's so much pressure and the way we've been playing. So I think all of us have agreed that that it's I think Joey Barton in it, all of you as well have said, and pretty much everyone on social media now want him as well. So Harry Jenkins says Maka over Zane. Zane's so overrated. Yes, he's been the most underwhelming, definitely the most underwhelming player this season. Like Josh said, coming with a big price tag and just hasn't really done it. And I don't think I've ever seen him put in a tackle, ever. Which is just pretty awful for a midfielder. I think that's where we got the recruitment, centre midfield and striker completely wrong. The spine of the team. Penguin says this is awesome. How's it going? Yeah, cheers, mate. I appreciate it. I thought it'd be a good idea to do every week. I think get everyone's views across. Cheers. Time for your lineup. Who would you play?
Well, I've been thinking while I was listening to you guys, and yeah, I mean, realistically, Ema probably is going to start, isn't he? But if we're talking about what my preferred lineup is, I would say, yeah, Joe Day in goal. Geordie, obviously, the whole problem is him not getting enough confidence when he's just been thrown into the mix randomly. So, yeah, Joe Day probably. If I had it my way, I think Mark Little's probably our best right back. I generally think Mark Little is really good and underrated, but he's injury prone. So yeah, Josh Hare maybe right back. Baldwin, Kilgore centre backs. I do like Leahy's attacking sense, fast, direct. I do like Leahy in terms of attack, but he leaves us vulnerable at the back. So I am going to say give Tutonda a chance. Because he's been, we had a great game against Lincoln, like we were talking about earlier. Lincoln, Tutonda played, amazingly there, and then suddenly just thrown out by Tisdale, really. So yeah, Tutonda, Baldwin, Kilgore, and Josh Hare, and then in the midfield, I'd go Ben Liddle. Is he injured or?
No, I think he's all right. It was weird though, wasn't it? That I was so confused that Fleetwood game. He just randomly come in and started his first league game. Then the next game, Yes, it's weird. I'm not sure. I think he's all right, but I don't know why he was at the squad again the next game.
I'd go, Liddle, McCormick, and Ozuma. Ozuma, I never say his name right, but and then probably a front three of Nicholson, Daly, and Hanlon. I think,
Yeah, I think that's a nice front three. I think with my lineup, I'm not. I'd probably go with a 4-3-3. Keeper Joe Day. Williams for me's got to start a right back. I think he's been absolute class since he's come in. Looked good defensively, because if you look at a lot of the goals, they're hardly never down his side. Even against Accrington, most of them were either from the defenders' centre backs point of view or Leahy's side. I think he's good at both attacking and defending. Centre backs, for me, it has to be Baldwin and Kilgore. I think at least Baldwin's got that the presence. I don't think. I mean, the only thing that worries me about Baldwin, and he does it once a game, is his mistakes. He'll make some. Even against Oxford, he done some mistake where he nearly gave him a goal basically. But I'd still play him. I think he's class. The through balls he was doing to Williams the other night, I thought was exceptional. So, Kilgore, Baldwin. Left back, I think it's a hard one because I don't think Tatunda or Leahy are good at defending. I think they're both better going forward. And Koike, like you said, Ollie, I think it's so frustrating because whenever he seems to play, he's always quality. He just offers that skill and the power and pace on the ball, but I think he's actually more of a winger / wing back. So I'd go with Leahy again, and hopefully he can defend. Midfield, it's a tough one. If Agogo's fit, I'd sit him just in front of the back four, and then I'd have Otts, Tuma, and McCormick. I think, like Harry said, Westbrook hasn't proved his worth most of the season. So I'd have Oztuma, McCormick, and Grant. No, Agogo, not Grant. I'm like you, Josh. I can't stand Josh Grant. I don't see what he offers. I don't know what people... Leave your thoughts in the comments what you think on Josh Grant, because he is a Marmite player, but I don't think I think he needs a loan spell or something. But then, front three, I'd actually go with what Chiz said. I'd go with Hanlon on the sort of left wing, left forward, Daly up top, and Nicholson on the right. That'd be my predicted lineup. Also, I want to know everyone's thoughts on the midfield. If Upson, because there's a lot of people, I've seen a lot of people. Wait, what's that? Josh Seaborn says Agogo out for the season. You're having a laugh, aren't you? Is that true? Agogo out for the season?
Yeah.
When was that? When was that announced?
Sam Frost reported, I think last week, that his injury could see him out for about 6 to 8 weeks, which would pretty much curtail a season. That's why we were looking at the free agent market.
Oh, that is a joke.
And again, because we had to register the 21 players, I don't think he made the cut if he was injured.
Wow, I think that's a big miss because he's actually the only one in the midfield that tackles every Grant. I mean, what's your? I asked the comments thoughts on Josh Grant. I'll start with you, Josh. You said about him earlier on, but tell me more. What don't you like about Grant?
What was that, Charlie? You can't, mate.
I'm about Josh Grant. What's your thoughts on Josh Grant?
Josh Grant. I think, judging again by the summer and the way in which Plymouth were talking about him, I thought we had a real sort of dynamic, aggressive holding midfielder. But from what I've seen so far, he looks shy on the ball. He don't tend to get stuck in, and he loses. Ball retention is a really important part of our game and the way in which we want to play. And he loses the ball far too often for me. And the biggest part of our problem, I think, is the fact that teams can literally just run straight through our midfield. And he's been the linchpin of that for most of the season. I think in terms of underwhelming, signings, he's probably up there for me ahead of Westbrook. And McCormick, again, a kid who's coming from Chelsea, absolutely epitomises the energy in midfield. And you almost want the same for him. And we're just not seeing it.
Yeah, I completely agree. What about you, Ollie? What's your? Are you one for starting Grant, or are you one for not liking him as well?
I don't like him, but he's one of these players that you either, like you say, you either like him or you love him. It's like I can't remember which game it was. It might have been. Was a couple of weeks ago where he had an absolute stonker of a game. He played really well. That was me personally.
Yeah, I think that was Peterborough away.
He played like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had an absolute stonker and played really well. But prior to that, I don't think he's had a decent game either before or after. Yeah. And I think we obviously Upson and then go in the centre of midfield, obviously with the likes of Ollie Clark and Circa. We were looking for something similar this season, but we just haven't got it. We've got no one that can sort of be the attacking threat and also in the defending threat. So I think, like what Josh said, there is no comeuppance of it. It's either everything or nothing from him personally, as well as other people in that midfield. It's like you try and think of like the midfield that we can play to be decent, and you're just struggling because there is no threat either forward or going backwards. So yeah, he is a bit of a weird character.
Yeah, yeah, I completely agree. What about you, Cheers? What's your thoughts on Josh Grant? Are you a Josh Grant fan, or are you one of the haters?
I don't know. I feel like, I think, yeah, he definitely has potential. I think put him with the right players, right manager, yeah, he could perform well. When we signed him, they described him, a lot of people described him, including the person who wrote, who announced it on the website, described him as a versatile midfielder. And that's what he gets described as a lot. But yeah, let's face it, he hasn't been performing well. I think compared to McCormick, obviously two very different players, but both of them have come from obviously being in the Chelsea academy, and I think McCormick's definitely been a better player to have. I think we've got Josh Grant on the permanent though, haven't we?
Yeah,
Yeah, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, I can't remember. I can't remember the contract length, but yeah, he's on a.
I wouldn't play him this Saturday though. You can't
Nah.
after the performance against Oxford. So yeah.
Yeah. Just before we get the show will be wrapping up in the next sort of 8 to 10 minutes. We're just gonna look to head for our next 5 fixtures, and then we'll finish up with the predictions for the game. So, start with you, Josh. What's your thoughts on the next 5 fixtures? Being obviously, we'll put the Swindon game in there. We got Swindon, Portsmouth, Gillingham, Wigan at home, and then Shrewsbury at home. So we got 4 out of the next 5 at home. What's your thoughts on those games coming up?
You got to get the men. You got to sort of recreate the fortress that we once had many moons ago. Now, if you want to stay up, then the sort of basic formula is you pick up your wins at home, and then you get anything away as a sort of bonus. But when you're looking at in this Swindon, Wigan, Shrewsbury, I mean, it's all winnable games. I know Cottrell's come in, sort of galvanised that Shrewsbury squad. Him and Aaron Wilbraham have done a really good job there. That one will be a tough game. I think they're on a pretty good run. I think he's made the best start of any Shrewsbury manager ever. But we got to get Banks now with Widrington, with whoever it is now, and we've got to just make the men a fortress. There's no excuses really. If you look at that playing surface we've got, and you look at the likes of Peterborough, Fleetwood, and the other teams we faced, there's no reason why we can't sort of get the ball down and sort of play to our strengths, or we were meant to be playing to this new playing style that the fans wanted, and this is why we went a certain direction with our manager. Now we got to see it on the pitch, and those next 4 home games are winnable. And if we want to stay up, there's 60 points to play for. We've got to start somewhere. Swindon's a must-win. Wigan at home is a must-win. You can sort of get a point from the Shrewsbury game, I'd say. But those 2 games definitely, Swindon and Wigan, we've got to win them. There's no excuses really.
Yeah, I mean, because even Portsmouth in the past, I mean, I think at home we've got a decent-ish record against Portsmouth. I think it's a way where most of the time we either get battered or get a point like we did when Clark Harris guided his penalty to Mars. But Ollie, what's your thoughts on the next 5 fixtures?
Yeah, obviously Swindon, Wigan are must-wins because obviously where they are in the league and where we are at the moment. Portsmouth, you look at and you think, like what you say, our form at home with them it's not bad. But obviously, it's not like we're winning against them. It's always a point and a draw.
Yeah.
So you could probably look at that as a possible point to as well on the board. And then obviously Shrewsbury, obviously with the run that they have sort of been into and got under control, with obviously beating the top teams of, I think they beat Hull a few weeks
Yeah,
ago.
they beat Hull, Sunderland. I think there was another. I think they beat Peterborough 2-0 as well. Yeah, like Josh said, their run has been crazy, and he's had the best start to a Shrewsbury manager ever.
Yeah, so exactly that. So obviously they can beat top teams, but then again, we went 0-0 away to Peterborough, so we can sort of compete with the big teams as well. We've just got to play the right football at the right time. So it's the same with the Pompey game. You look at that to be a point or 3 points, and hopefully you don't drop, but at the same time, it could go that way. Not that we want it to. So it is obviously 6 points in the Wigan and the Swindon game, and then hopefully two points out of Pompey in the Shrewsbury game.
Yeah, completely agree. I think, like you said, I think Wigan, like you said, Wigan and Swindon. If we don't win them, then we might as well just put the nail in the coffin. Portsmouth, we can get a point. They've had some good results, but they've also been a bit inconsistent. Cheers. What's your thoughts on the next 5? How many points do you see us getting from the next 5?
I don't, we can beat Swindon and Wigan, obviously. Yeah, everyone's saying that. Those are the 2 games we just have to win. Like, a point against those 2 for me isn't good enough. That puts us in real trouble with harder fixtures coming up. So if we beat Swindon and Wigan, that's obviously 6 points. Gillingham away, we don't do too well there, do we? I'm not sure. We obviously when Clark Harris scored that screamer.
Yeah, I reckon. Yeah, because even me, I've been there 4 or 5 times, and apart from that Clark Harris screamer, which I was there. I was there when it. What a goal that was! Yeah, our record there is a shambles, basically. Yeah,
so I think we'll lose that. Portsmouth at home. The last time we played them, that was brilliant. Being in the Thatcher's Terrace when that last minute equaliser went in, that was I won't forget that. But probably I'll say we'll get a point against Pompey, maybe 7 points.
Yeah, I think 7 points is a decent return. Like I said, like we've all said, like every Rovers fan will say, Wigan and Swindon. If we don't win them, then I give up. I give up. They're 2. You need to go and put out. We need to go and put out a statement, especially on this Saturday against Swindon. It's massive. And then, like you said, if we can get that home form even a tiny bit better, pick up a few wins. 4 home. Not many teams get 4 home games in a month, so we need to try and take advantage. Because remember when I think it was. I know it's different, but when was it? Our home form for about 2 years after we got promoted from the conference was in the top 10 in England, even in the UK. So we need to get it back to what it was. So yeah, final.
You mentioned Shrewsbury. Sorry.
That's right, Karen.
To be fair, I don't know. Cottrell's got him playing really well, hasn't he? So I think we'll get a point though. Shrewsbury. Obviously, they beat us last time we played them at home. They won 1-0. But I think we can get a point against Shrewsbury. Depends on who we appoint though, I guess, because we don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean it's even Shrewsbury. I think especially I know our away form's terrible there. I went there when we lost 4-0, and God, that was one of the worst away games I've ever been to. And even at home, I remember, was it the Billy Bowden? I think we beat him 2-1, and Billy Bowden got a penalty and another goal. But apart from that, again, there seems to be a lot of teams in this league where our record is awful. But yeah, last bit of the show. Before we do get into it, drop a like if you haven't already, if you're enjoying it. Leave any comments as well after. The video will be going up after on the channel, so if you had missed parts, then feel free to go back and watch it, and make sure you subscribe. Josh, then we'll start with you. What is your prediction for this weekend's game against Swindon?
I think Tommy's going to get the boys going. I'm going to go 3-1 Gas.
3-1. Wow. Who's your scorers?
I think Hanlon's got a point to prove. I know he's, a lot of people have got on his back and he's got a lot of pressure on his hands. Sort of awarded that sort of the main striker role, even though he probably came in with a little less expectation on his own shoulders. Mainly played wide at Gillingham, but I think I have a feeling Hanlon's going to score, and then he's going to pull out his Tisdale cap. I think Hanlon. I think if Daly can play and implement that high press, he's going to cause trouble and gets chances like he did in the week. He's pulled away from that Oxford back line. He probably could have done better in the first half, but I think Hanlon, Nicholson, and Daly.
Yeah. I'll definitely take that. Make sure you leave your predictions in the comments as well, Gasheads. We want to see all of them, so leave them in, and we'll go over everyone else's prediction in the comments at the end. So get them in there. Ollie, what's your prediction? Are you feeling as optimistic as Josh?
Do you know what? I was actually going to go for a 3-1 win myself, because I think we've just got massive point to prove. I really do. And obviously, I think if we start scoring the goals early on in like the first half or after the first couple of minutes, I think it could possibly be a high-scoring game. But I don't want to jinx it, so I think a 3-1 win would probably be sort of a fairish result. Yeah,
definitely, that'd be class. Chiz, are you going for 3 in a row? 3 wins. Are we going to make that a win on the weekend and get the 3 points we desperately need?
I mean, to be fair, I would feel really guilty if I didn't. I just looked at the table and I look at the bottom 6 teams. Swindon have scored the most. Yeah, Swindon have scored the most goals. But saying that, they've conceded the most as well. So, and then you look at our attack, and at the moment we ain't scoring any goals. So yeah, it could either go 2 ways. There could be goals, there can't be goals. But overall, I'm gonna say we're gonna scrape a 1-0 win. It's gonna be a dire game to watch, I think. Just based on last time we played them, to be honest, it was awful. The football being played, but yeah, I'm gonna go 1-0 Rovers.
God, I don't think I can. I don't think I could sit there a whole 90 minutes and just 1-0 it. But yeah, fair play. We go for that. I'm gonna go for. Well, like I was on Chiz's channel the other day, and what was my prediction on there, Chiz? I'm gonna go for a 3-0 Rovers win. Hanlon and Nicholson and Daly all with 1 goal. So yeah, let's quickly look at in the comments just to see everyone's prediction. Harry Jenkins has gone for a 2-1 Gas win. Hanlon and Baldwin. I wouldn't mind seeing a naughty Baldwin header. Wow, Josh Seaborn. I don't know how much cider he's had tonight, but he's gone 4-0 Gas. That is mad. 4-0. I tell you what, it'd be perfect. That would be class. Mats has also gone for a Rovers win. 2-0. Yeah, we just need it, don't we? We need to prove a point. Brett Gass says the problem we have with 4 home games is that we're very poor at home. Yeah, I believe they were putting a shift this weekend, so I'm going to go with a 2-1 win. Hanlon and Nicholson scoring. Yeah, that'd be class. Is it worth buying a match pass?
Definitely.
Well, definitely, mate. I mean, obviously, I'll be doing like a watch along like I always do, but it's not. You can join if you want, or you can buy a match pass. It's up to you. But yeah, I'd recommend one. Gav D Gas 2-1 win won't be easy, as we all know. Definitely. Wayne Clark, shout out to Wayne. 2-1 Gas win as well. He says he's not had a drink yet. Well, yeah, that's quality, mate. I mean, to be fair, I've nearly gone 4-0. But yeah, this is going to be the end now. Thanks everyone for watching. Big shout out to Josh, Chiz, and Ollie for coming on. Kaz, was going to come on, but she couldn't make it. She had to go to the vets. But yeah, next week will be the same time, 7 p.m. Obviously, it's going to be hard, getting, because like I said at the start, a lot of people have said that they want to come on, so I'll have to sort of plan it out and maybe get 3 different people on every week, or we'll get. I'll just have to plan it out. But I appreciate all of you tuning in tonight. Remember, you can watch it back if you've missed anything. But yeah, drop a like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Up the gas.